There's a special kind of humiliation that sticks to your skin like sweat. The kind that doesn't fade in the shower or disappear after a stiff drink. Mine started under crystal chandeliers and velvet walls, in a high-end restaurant I didn't even want to go to. My name's Jake Harrison, and I paid $10,000 to get thrown out like trash by the people I thought were family. The night was supposed to be a celebration, our 8th anniversary. My wife, Emily, insisted we bring her entire family. They've supported us through everything, she said. What I didn't know then was they were supporting her. All right, supporting her lies, her late nights, her second life behind my back. We were at La Premiere, the kind of place where the wine list needs a translator and even the water has an accent. Her father, Frank, was cracking old man jokes. Her mom, Barbara, the real puppet master, kept giving me this icy smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. And Emily? She was glowing. Not the kind of glow a woman has around her husband. The kind of glow that comes from secrets. Halfway through the appetizers, she didn't even sit next to me. She was giggling across the table with her sister Claire, whispering and glancing down at her phone every few minutes like a damn teenager. I asked her, "Everything okay?" She smiled like I was a waiter asking for her order. "Chill, Jake. It's just girl stuff." Right. The bill came in a sleek black folder, heavier than I expected. I opened it. $10,472.89. I paid it. No complaints. No questions. I handed over the card like a loyal fool because that's what a husband does, right? Then came the slap I didn't see coming. Not a physical one. Worse. Emily stood up, champagne glass in hand. "I have an announcement," she said, clinking it with a knife. Her voice had that fake cheer she used when talking to customer service. "I want a divorce." Just like that. The restaurant fell silent. Forks froze midair. My heart stopped. "What?" I asked. Not loud. Just one word. But it hit the table like a hammer. Barbara stood up next. "I think it's best you leave, Jake," she said, her voice smooth, like she'd practiced it. "You're no longer part of our family." I looked around. Her dad? Smirking like he'd just hit a jackpot. Her sister? Didn't even make eye contact. And Emily? She took a sip of her drink and sat back down. As if nothing happened. As if I hadn't just paid for their royal feast. I stood there, frozen. Half of me expected it to be a joke. Some weird reality show stunt. But no camera crew came out. No punchline. So I left. Walked past the valet without asking for my car. Just walked. The streets were blurred by the rain and my disbelief. I sat on a bench, soaked to the bone, staring at nothing. I didn't cry. Not yet. I felt something worse, numbness. Like someone had cut the wires to my chest. An hour later, my phone rang. It was Emily. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. "Emily, how dare you just walk out like that?" "Claire, Mom's furious. You embarrassed us." "Barbara, I can't believe you're acting like a child after all we've done for you." "Done for me?" "I paid their mortgage last year when Frank lost his job. I bought Emily her dream car. Took them on a cruise for Christmas. And now, after footing a $10,000 bill, I'm the disgrace?" I finally picked up when Emily called again. I wanted answers. Closure. Something. "You're disgusting," she snapped. "You made a scene. You couldn't even be a man and stay." I asked her flat out, "Who is he?" Silence. Then the click of a call ended. And that's when the real unraveling began. I wasn't just dealing with betrayal. I was about to discover everything I thought I knew about my wife was a damn lie. The next morning, I woke up on my buddy Zach's couch with a stiff neck and a knot in my chest that wouldn't go away. My phone had 37 messages. I didn't open a single one. I just sat there, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself that maybe last night had been some messed up dream. But it wasn't. Zach handed me a coffee and sat down across from me. "You good?" I laughed. Not because it was funny, because there was nothing else to do. My wife dumped me in front of a crowd after I paid 10 grand for dinner. Her mom told me I wasn't part of the family. And I think she's been sleeping with someone else. He didn't say anything for a moment. Then, "You want to talk or punch something?" I chose neither. Instead, I went home. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Her heels weren't by the door. No scent of overpriced perfume lingering in the hallway. The closet was half empty, like she'd packed in advance. I checked the nightstand. Her wedding ring? Gone. That's when I noticed her laptop, left open on the kitchen counter. It was stupid. Reckless. Like she wanted me to find it. I hesitated, then clicked. Emails. Dozens of them. A folder named Work Trips full of hotel bookings. None of them matched up with her actual travel dates. And then, the real punch to the gut, a thread between her and someone named Trey Williams. Trey, last night was insane. You wore me out. I still smell you on my sheets. Emily, LOL, you're bad. Can't wait for next week. Same room. Trey, same time, same bed, same you. My fingers clenched around the edge of the counter until my knuckles went white. I clicked the name. Found a photo. Some young finance bro type. Muscle shirt. Gold chain. Fake smile. The kind of guy who thinks networking means banging married women. I stared at her words. Can't wait. Last night was insane. I remembered all those times she came home tired, said she had meetings, needed me time, pushed me away when I reached for her in bed. She wasn't tired. She wasn't busy. She was getting laid. By him. In hotels I probably paid for. Something inside me snapped, not like a break, but a slow, burning tear. Not just because she cheated, but because she turned me into a fool. A walking ATM with a ring on his finger. I printed the emails. All of them. Put them in a black envelope. I wrote her name across it in thick black marker and dropped it off at her office. I didn't call. Didn't text. I wanted her to wonder when the bomb would go off. A few hours later, my phone rang again. This time it was Barbara. I should have ignored it. Jake, she began, her voice tight. What you did was beyond petty. What I did? I said calmly. You mean, leaving after being publicly humiliated? You sent private emails to Emily's boss. That's harassment. I didn't send anything to her boss, I said. Not yet. Silence. Then the line went dead. Minutes later, Emily texted me. You're dead to me. Don't come near me ever again. That was the first time I smiled all day. By sunset, Trey messaged me on Instagram. Bro, chill. It's not that serious. We didn't mean for it to happen. I replied with one word. Meet. He never answered. But that didn't mean I was done. Because now it wasn't just about betrayal. It was about burning the whole house of lies down with everyone inside still sipping wine and thinking they'd won. And if Emily thought she could cheat, lie, humiliate me, and walk away with clean hands, she had no idea who she married. 3 nights later, I was parked outside Trey's building, engine off, just watching. It wasn't premeditated, not exactly. I didn't bring a weapon, didn't plan some movie-style confrontation. I just needed to see the guy, face to face. The man who slid into my life like a parasite while I was out here building a future for someone who never deserved it. At 11:42 p.m., he showed up, laughing, with her. Emily. She was wearing the same leather jacket I bought her on our 5th anniversary. Her hair tied back like she always did when she wanted to feel free. They kissed under the streetlight like teenagers, no shame, no guilt, just heat in hands. I should have stayed in the car, but my body moved on its own. I walked straight toward them. Trey noticed first. He paused. Emily turned, and when she saw me, her face drained like she'd seen a ghost. Jake, what the hell are you doing here? I looked at Trey. You. Talk. He raised his hands. Man, look, this wasn't planned. I didn't even know she was married when we met. I laughed, bitter and sharp. How many hotel rooms does it take to figure it out, Trey? Emily stepped between us like she was the victim here. You're being insane. This is harassment. I ignored her. You called our marriage a burden. In that email. Her lips curled. Because it was. You're boring, Jake. Predictable. You were obsessed with work, your damn routines, your spreadsheets. I needed something real. That one hit harder than I expected. I looked at her, really looked. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I didn't see my wife. I saw a stranger. Cold. Calculating. A master at rehearsed affection. A woman who could fake love like a damn professional actress. Trey mumbled. Maybe I should go. You think? I snapped. He turned and walked fast. Coward. Emily stayed. You're embarrassing yourself, she said. Move on already. You think you're the only guy who's ever been dumped? I stepped closer, low voice. You didn't dump me. You staged a public execution. You humiliated me. You weaponized your whole damn family. And now you're parading around with your boy toy like I don't exist. Because you don't, she shouted. People nearby turned their heads. Good, I said. Because when the court sees those emails, and the bank sees what you've been doing with my accounts, and the IRS gets the records of the cruise payments under your parents' names, you'll wish I only embarrassed you. Her face twisted. You wouldn't dare. I already did. I walked away before she could speak again. Back in my car, my hands were shaking, not from fear, but from adrenaline. I didn't care anymore about being calm, about playing the good guy. I spent too long being decent while she played dirty. That night, I changed every password I had, froze our joint accounts, moved money she didn't even know I had into another bank, canceled her credit cards. I left her with nothing but the illusion of control. By the next morning, her sister Claire texted me. "You're sick." She's crying. "I hope you're proud." I replied, "I'm just getting started." I met with my lawyer that afternoon. Showed him everything. Emails, hotel bills, even a voice recording from a night Emily came home drunk and bragged to her friend about finally training Jake to shut up. The lawyer whistled. "You've got a case. Big one. Especially if you want to go after spousal support." "I don't want her money," I said. "I want my dignity back." He nodded. "Then let's make sure she never takes it again." That night, I slept in my own bed. Alone. And for the first time in years, it didn't feel empty. It felt free. A week later, the silence in the house was different. Not lonely, peaceful. The ghost of Emily's perfume had finally faded from the sheets. Her fake laughter no longer echoed in the halls. I opened the closet and stared at the empty half where her clothes used to be. It didn't hurt like I thought it would. It felt like space. Like breathing room. Like I was finally reclaiming something that had been slowly stolen from me. But just as I started settling into that calm, chaos came knocking again, literally. It was Frank, her dad. He stood on my porch like nothing had happened, in a windbreaker and those same loafers he wore the night he smirked while I got tossed from that restaurant. I didn't say a word, just crossed my arms. He sighed. "Jake, listen. Things got a little out of hand." "Out of hand?" I said. "Your daughter cheated on me. Lied to me. You stood there while I paid your dinner tab and let your wife kick me out like a dog." "I know," he said, looking down. "I was just trying to keep the peace." "You kept her peace," I snapped. "Not mine." "She's in bad shape," he said. "Emily. Crying every night. She thought Trey loved her. Turns out he's already seeing someone else." I didn't feel anything. No satisfaction. No pity. Just empty. "She made her choices. She wants to talk," he said. "Face to face." I shook my head. Not happening. But I was lying to myself, mostly. Because curiosity is a cruel thing. Later that night, I stood in the shower, water scalding hot, and imagined what she'd say. What lies she'd spin. What tears she'd fake. I wanted closure. But deep down, I already knew she'd only open her mouth to twist the knife again. The next day, I got an email. No subject line. Just one sentence. "Please meet me at the old pier at 7 p.m. No games. Just truth." I stared at the screen. For 20 minutes. Then I shut the laptop. But at 6:45, I was already in my truck, headed to the pier. When I got there, the sun was melting behind the water, casting everything in gold and shadows. Emily stood alone, hands in her coat pockets, face pale. No makeup. No smile. "Jake," she said. I stayed silent. "I messed up," she began. "I know nothing I say matters to you now, but I wanted you to hear it." She paused, waited for me to speak. I didn't. Trey was exciting. That's it. It wasn't love. It was an escape. You were always so focused. So perfect. I felt invisible. I clenched my jaw. "So you made yourself visible in someone else's bed." She flinched. "I deserved that. You deserved worse." "I know." The waves behind her crashed hard against the rocks. I watched them, let the silence settle again. Then I said, "You humiliated me. In public. In private. You dragged your family into it. You tried to break me. I thought you'd never leave," she whispered. "You were too loyal." That right there, it gutted me more than any lie. She counted on me being loyal. Used it against me like a weapon. My love wasn't ignored. It was exploited. "I'm not coming back," I said. She nodded. "I'm not asking you to." "Good." I turned to leave. She called out, "Do you hate me?" I stopped but didn't turn around. "I don't hate you," I said. "I just see you now." Back in my truck, I felt something loosen in my chest. Not forgiveness, just release. I didn't need an apology. I didn't need answers. I just needed to stop carrying her sins like they were mine. And that's exactly what I did. 2 days after the pier, I got a message from Claire, Emily's sister. I almost deleted it without reading. Anything from her side of the family felt like poison, but something made me open it. "You need to come by Mom's place. It's important. It's about the house." At first, I thought it was another stunt, another manipulation. But I remembered that Emily's name was never on the deed. The house was mine before we got married. She moved in, decorated it, made it hers, but legally, it was always mine. Still, something felt off. I decided to go. If there was one thing I'd learned from this whole disaster, it was to stop letting people operate in the shadows. I needed to see what game they were playing. Barbara opened the door like I was the one who wronged her. Her lips were tight, her eyes judging me like always. "Jake," she said, like my name tasted bad. Claire stood behind her, arms crossed, trying to look innocent. I stepped inside. "What's this about?" Barbara wasted no time. "Emily's mental health has taken a serious hit. She's seeing a therapist, and she needs a stable environment. She wants to move back into the house." I blinked. "You're kidding. She needs closure. Familiar space. She needs boundaries," I said. Claire jumped in. "You're making this harder than it has to be." I stared at them, the gall on their faces, the absolute lack of shame. "You want me to let the woman who publicly humiliated me, cheated on me, and tried to ruin me back into my house?" Barbara's tone sharpened. "She's your wife. Not anymore. And that house? It's mine." Barbara narrowed her eyes. "You'll regret this." "No," I said. "I regret not seeing through all of you sooner." As I turned to leave, Claire said, "You're not who I thought you were." I stopped at the door. "Neither is Emily. But at least I didn't have to sleep around to figure that out." Back in my truck, I finally laughed. Not from joy, more like shock. These people didn't want healing. They wanted control. Emily thought her crocodile tears at the pier would soften me up. This was all a coordinated play, and I almost fell for it again. I drove straight to the county clerk's office the next morning and filed for divorce. My lawyer expedited everything. I handed over the file of evidence, emails, call logs, timestamps, financial records. He read it with a smirk and said, "She's going to try to play the victim. Don't let her." I didn't plan to. That night, I sat down and wrote a letter. Not to Emily. Not to her family. To myself. I wrote down everything I gave her. Everything I lost. And then everything I was taking back. I promised myself I wouldn't respond to her anymore. No texts. No calls. No meetings. I was done bleeding for someone who handed the knife to someone else. A few days later, I heard from Zach again. "You good?" I nodded. "Better than good." "Want to go out?" "For what?" He grinned. "For you." That night, I went out for the first time in months. No expectations. No agenda. Just to exist. There were laughs. Beers. A live band that actually knew how to play. It felt like coming up for air after being underwater too long. At the bar, a woman smiled at me. Blonde. Confident. Her eyes kind. Not calculating. I smiled back. For the first time, not out of loneliness, but choice. She came over. We talked. Her name was Rachel. She asked what I did. "Just got divorced," I said. "Professionally. Personally, I'm still figuring that out." She laughed. "Honest. I like that." We didn't exchange numbers. Didn't make promises. It wasn't about that. It was about remembering I still had a life. That Emily didn't get to keep it when she walked away. She left her mess behind. But I wasn't the one who had to live in it. A week passed without a single message from Emily. No emails. No texts. Just a deafening silence that almost felt like peace. I'd expected drama, late-night calls, tears, some desperate attempt to reel me back in. But nothing came. Until it did. It was a Friday. I was at the bank, finalizing the transfer of my remaining shared accounts into a new one under just my name. A clean slate. The banker handed me the final document to sign, and right as I clicked the pin open, my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I shouldn't have answered, but instinct got the better of me. "Jake." "It's me." Her voice was quiet. Controlled. Too controlled. "What do you want?" "I need to talk to you. Please. Just hear me out." I exhaled. Hard. "Emily, we've done this already." "No. You talked." I listened. "Now I need to explain things you don't know." I didn't want to care. But the tone in her voice wasn't her usual manipulative sweetness. It was nervous. Anxious. And that's when it hit me. She wasn't trying to get me back. She was scared. 5 minutes, I said. We met in a public park. Wide open, daylight, people all around. I wasn't giving her the chance to twist anything behind closed doors. She arrived in sunglasses, hair tied up, hoodie pulled over her head like she was dodging paparazzi. She sat down across from me on the bench and didn't speak for a full minute. Just fidgeted. "What's this about?" I asked. "Trey's not who I thought he was." I tilted my head. "Let me guess. He's not a fan of long-term commitment?" "No," she said. "He's dangerous." I laughed. loud enough for a few people nearby to glance over. Dangerous? Emily, he sells crypto scams and probably still lives with his mother. She leaned in. He took pictures. Of me. Without asking. Videos, too. My jaw tightened. You're telling me you're the victim now? I'm telling you I didn't know. I thought it was just fun. But he's threatening to leak things if I don't give him money. A lot of money. I stared at her, completely still. Why are you telling me this? Because he mentioned you. He said if I didn't pay up, he'd send things to your job. Your friends. He's crazy, Jake. I studied her face. She looked exhausted. The makeup was gone. The smug smile gone too. Just a hollow version of the woman I once married. And you thought I'd help you? I thought you should know, she muttered. You're still connected to this mess because of me. I stood up. No, I'm not connected. Not anymore. Please, she said. I'm scared. I warned you, I said. You don't get to blow up my life and then ask me to help you pick up the shrapnel. You picked Trey. You can keep him. I walked away before she could answer. She didn't follow. But something about the way she said his name stuck with me. Trey. Dangerous. Back home, I checked my old email, one I hadn't used in months. There it was. A message from an unfamiliar address with an attachment labeled, yourwife.mp4. I didn't open it. I didn't need to see it. I forwarded it straight to my lawyer. 2 hours later, I had a restraining order filed. Against both of them. I don't know what Emily expected when she left me for a shiny toy. But what she got was a predator. A manipulator who saw her the same way she once saw me, as a pawn. And I wasn't going to be collateral damage in that story. That night, I sat on the porch, a glass of bourbon in my hand, watching the stars blink into the sky. Zach called, asked how I was holding up. I think I'm finally getting my life back, I said. He laughed. Took a war to get there. Yeah, I said, sipping slow. But I won. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. I didn't show up for the hearing. My lawyer handled everything. Emily sat there alone, according to him. No family behind her. No Trey. Just her, fidgeting with that same cold silence she used to weaponize against me. I got the house. Kept every asset I walked in with. And the court denied her spousal support after seeing the emails, the affair timeline, and her little vacations. Justice didn't feel like revenge. It felt like balance. The final paperwork came in a plain envelope. No drama. Just a stamp and my name without hers next to it. I held it in my hands for a long time. 8 years gone, and it came down to 3 sheets of paper and a signature. I didn't cry. Didn't celebrate either. I just breathed. That night, I walked through the house with a trash bag and started clearing it of anything she ever touched. Her scented candles, old scarves, photos, notes. Even the mug that said Mrs. Harrison went straight into the bin. It wasn't cleansing. It wasn't symbolic. It was necessary. 2 days later, Barbara texted me. I just want you to know we didn't raise her to be like this. I didn't reply. You didn't stop her either. I got back to my life. Slowly. I went back to the gym. Picked up guitar again. Joined a hiking group. Not to meet women. Just to feel alive in my own skin again. People started noticing the change. You look lighter, Zach told me one day. I am, I said. Turns out betrayal makes a pretty effective weight loss program. He laughed, then went quiet. You regret any of it? I thought for a long second. No, because it showed me what I'll never settle for again. There's power in that. Power in surviving what tried to hollow you out. A month later, I ran into Rachel, the woman from the bar. She smiled when she saw me. Still figuring it out? I grinned. Less figuring. More living. We talked for hours. Laughed. Walked down the pier where Emily once begged me to listen. But this time, there were no ghosts behind me. Just the sound of water, fresh air, and the kind of peace you can't fake. We didn't make plans. We just existed. That was enough. Here's what I learned through it all, if anyone's listening. If someone cheats, they're not just betraying your body. They're burning your time, your faith, your future. Don't stay out of fear. Don't stay out of pride. Walk away with your dignity, even if it's in pieces. Because the right people, they don't make you beg for respect. And love? Real love doesn't hide in hotel rooms and delete messages when you walk in the room. Real love stands beside you, not behind your back. And if you've got nothing else left, start there. With your back straight. And your heart still beating. That's more than enough to rebuild everything. And trust me. The silence after betrayal? It's where you'll finally hear yourself again.